Yeah. Alright. Just want to do one thing first. Start my party. Alright. Because now I'm curious, honestly. It's been a conversation in Discord this morning. And has made me want to do this. My voice is scratchy. Wait, what? Wait, is 5M coming to... What is this GTA, man? You know, honestly, that'd be interesting. But, actually, maybe interesting. But I guarantee you, all the cool stuff won't be possible. Alright. Guarantee that. Alright, so we'll get... YouTube Studio going. Get that going. Get this going. Hopefully the stream chat works. It's been very weird. Boom. I feel like that is definitely the incorrect link here. Let's go to get that going. Alright, we'll get that going. Right. Go back to there. Boom. Alright. So. Now why was this track not verified? Okay, so wait, I need to, well, it wasn't verified, so I'm gonna play it. And it's weird because it's a Dutchy track. And I'm gonna start by doing the tracks that I did not actually test this wave. Because I feel like that would be better. And maybe last wave too, because I feel like I didn't mean to do much of last wave. Yeah, it's quite a few. So I'm gonna start with that. Okay, so we got the Dutchy, and it's bookmarked. Alright. Fuck off. Alright. So I think this may have been showcased because of the 3 of 4 votes rule. But ultimately one person did decide to bring the score below a 4 on the actual spreadsheet. So I'm going to take a look at it, and it's a Dutchy track. That is a remake of a Digster track from 2017, I want to say. And I've played this track before. The original, I played the original many times. It was very popular back in the day. and I think I relatively liked it. It was like one of the few Digster tracks I kind of liked. That alongside Cruise Missile were, I think, the two that I were really the only two, I think, that I actually relatively enjoyed. So yeah, there's that. So this one, the original feedback from the testers that did test it, I was not one of them. I did not end up testing it. So you got 4 people tested it. One of them says it's fine, I guess. Not much to do with it, not much going on, but it was a 4. Then we have another score that's a 4. That says it's well built and challenging, and he hated the red wall apex props, and that if you hit them you stop dead. And I know which one he's talking about. It's very much a bit of a PC thing, more so nowadays, but we did have that trend a lot in PS4 in 2018, 2019. It was a trend to have those on Apex props, usually accompanied with the like the gray concrete barriers. Like you have like the gray and then the ones with the red stripes on them. They look really sexy. But yeah, so those two, in combination with the red plastic barrier on the end, made for quite a nice looking barrier that was commonly used. And this is the one criticism from one tester. And then the third criticism from the third note, it says needs some polish here and there. And it was a 3.75. And with the total score being a 3.94. And this, like I said, is a track I did not test this wave, but it should have been showcased. I don't know if it was or not, but it should have been if it wasn't. I think it... Actually, I will fact check this before I do, because everyone... I'm going to open the public spreadsheet quickly before I actually start here. But because 3 of the 4 testers that tested it did give it a 4, by the rules, it is supposed to be verified and give it a score of 4.0. So I am going to fact check it. We're on wave 5. It was not verified at all, actually. And I'm going to check just to verify on the public spreadsheet that, where are we here? I'm looking for Dutchy. Did he submit a track later on in the wave? Because his name's in red. So I'm just looking here. I don't see a second Dutchy track, so... But it's supposed to be on the public spreadsheet. Yeah. So, it was officially not verified. And I think I'm gonna bring this up, because under the rulings, it should be. And I know this was the beginning of the wave, but PS5 still does have a stream, and so if I can get it on there, I will. So this is actually an interesting discovery. So I'm just gonna leave a note, because there was a conversation about a track, I think it might have been a PC track, where I think it was really just me and Leosa testing PC really at the end. I'm gonna have to fact check which track it is I'm thinking of, but yeah, this track should be... Anyways. But it should have been showcased. I'm just gonna put it on the box spreadsheet, honestly. I don't care. Box is usually the one that manages the showcase spreadsheet, and he picks the worst cars for the tracks. He had HSW muscle on Calling Arms. I changed it at like 11:50 or something the other night, like an hour before the showcase stream, because I knew it was gonna be a shit show on that track, and so I changed it. But anyways, so far I see nothing wrong. Like, I don't understand why. Actually, there is another curious case of my rally track that is not getting verified. I'm just gonna play it, and if anyone's still watching by that point, I would want to have some people say if it should get verified or not. I'm not going to comment on it because I think I have been the most polarizing tester of all time, and I haven't said anything to any of the testers about it. But I would be curious to see what people outside of the testing program thinks of it. So I set it to 2 laps, and I've been mostly rambling about other things so far, as opposed to actually looking and criticizing this track. But I will pay more attention on the second lap. That's just a skill issue. So the second, yeah, this is the last corner. Alright, so proper analysis of this track, starting this lap. So layout wise, perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it. Like, there was that tire stack. To be fair, Angel, I did say that because I think I made the track in like an hour. I mean, I was just like, if there's anything unfinished about it, just let me know. If it was like 1 or 2 things. But if the layout's boring, then I'm not gonna like argue that point. But I'm just curious and seeing beyond that if there's anything. But yeah, so this track anyways, this is a more like, why? Like, on my track I can understand it kind of. I see it. But on Dutchy's track, like, why is this not a 4? Like, it's got some of these, like, it's got some outdated props, but 90% of the time you're gonna be so far away from the actual apex that the tiny little hitbox issue isn't really an issue. This is the only part, I think, on this track in particular that I would change, because you could just go flying off pretty easily on here, especially if someone like dive bombs you. Yeah. And this track, Angel, I think this was before. I don't think you tested this one, actually. Yeah, you didn't test this. But I want to leave a note on the showcase spreadsheet. I'm going to put this on there. Because if I give it a 4, even though it's kind of late for that, yeah, I know you're under ops. That's why I know you didn't test it, because I have the spreadsheet open and the cell's empty. But yeah, because Ivan, I shouldn't, whatever, I already name dropped it. Ivan gave it a 3.75, but because of the ruling, if like the majority of votes say 4 and it's just one score that dips it below, it should have been showcased and given a 4.0. So like, this should have been a 4, even with Ivan being the one to bring it down. So like, there's not really much wrong with it. Like, it's got that sort of 2019 aesthetic to it. And the way it's applied, there's not really much wrong with it. Like, I can't even say... Like, if I was to score it, I would honestly give it like a 4.5. If it wasn't too late for that. To, like, bring the official score up. But, so with my score, it's above a 4. And if you tested it, you'd give it a 4 at least. So, I'm gonna leave a note here on Discord. This is the current wave. It's wave 5. It's the 8th row on the spreadsheet. Well, not row. Yeah, no, 8th row. It's the first Dutchy track. For some reason, his name's in red. And I thought for a second it was because he submitted a different track later on. But I don't see a second track from Dutchy. Like, other than one right below it that was given zeros across the board. Because he submitted 2. Because I think early on the wave we said we were thinking about trying to open up the 2 tracks per creator. So I think he just submitted 2. Like, back to back. But yeah, there's no reason this should have been not a 4. At all. There's no reason whatsoever. So yeah, I'm gonna leave a note and I'm gonna pre-type it on Discord, but if I do see any other tracks that I didn't test, then I'm going to bring it up all in one message at the end. But yeah, so like that one. And once again, it's Ivan. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm the most consistent tester. Like, for me, there is consistency of like the tracks that I want that I think are verifiable. Like, I give them good scores. Like, I don't shy away from giving a 5. I gave Leosa's track a 5, and I was the only one who tested it on PC, so it's just a unanimous 5, you know? But the tracks that I think are good, I don't shy away from giving really good scores to, and the tracks that I'm like aren't getting verified, I'm usually more harsh. Yeah. But I think if you I think if you put your score, like, it's not just sort of me trying to push and get my way, because I have done that in the past. But I'm gonna look at this next track here, because we got another 3.95 track to look at, and that I did not test. So I'm curious. This is going to be the Nemesis track by Surplus Asp. I have no idea who that is. But before, I'm going to load it up in game first, and then I'll look at the notes, read them out loud, and see this one's not as unanimous as the Dutchy track. There are, I think, at least 2 people that gave it a 3.75, and then there's one that was like a 3.25. So this is an Aces track, okay. Parcellis. Alright, so looking at the notes, we have 3 notes. Angel, you did test this one and gave it a 4. So got City Track of All Time 2 on a score of 4.25. I will try to not name drop individual testers unless there is a time which I feel it is appropriate. Yeah, I noticed that now when I loaded up in game. I showed his PS5 name. Yeah, because a lot of people have weird social club names that are completely unrelated to their in-game name, and it's weird seeing that. So we've got note says lots of weird corners with multiple apexes. And the third note agrees with that, basically. But it just says, I agree with person. Trying to not name drop, but if I feel a certain rage, and it's usually going to be directed at Ivan. It just happens. He's the oddball with the PlayStation scores. For some reason. He's always the one that's going to be either causing a track to go below a 4 or trying to push it above a 4. If there's ever like the one person that is doing that, it's usually Ivan. Not to shit on him, but it's just, if you look at the spreadsheet, you can kind of see that, you know. So I'm gonna do what car would be good on here? What's a decent car? Like maybe Feltzer. Most Asus tracks would be probably designed for those like sweaty sports cars, like the Feltzer. Like it's overused even to this day. Okay, so yeah, so I'm just gonna actually, yeah. So it's like it was really just the weird corners and apexes that were the criticism on here to prevent it from getting a 4. I did not test this track, so my opinion was not put into the final score. Yeah, they are all over the place. Okay, so I'll do the first lap, and I will just go blindly through it, and then I will go through each corner. So I'm going to go through the lap, form my thoughts, and then I will express them on the second lap and go a little bit slower. Dutchess track, I didn't really need to do this much because I was familiar with it. I already kind of knew the track. It was just more so the surprise of it not being verified. But this one, I don't think I've ever played before, so this one's all new to me. But Sweaty City track by design, which isn't really much of an issue. But I can kind of see why I would say the casual testers who have never done really any serious racing in this game, or are just not generally the greatest drivers, would be more reluctant to give it a good score. And I think that is going to be a part of it for some testers. Because if you're not you have these tracks that are designed for the faster guys, you know, to be having these competitive racing on. And you have the people that don't have an appreciation for the competitive style of racing in the game. You generally won't have as much of an appreciation for the tracks that are trying to bring out that kind of racing, if that makes any sense. So I think this is basically the end of the first lap, because yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna take a drink before I start talking again. Alright, so it's not pretty. That's exactly what I was going to say about this wall, actually. It's not very pretty, but it works, you know. This wall's in the right spot. It does what it has to. It's not very pretty, but it works. Okay, so I'm going to go through, because there's a lot of little weird things about this track that I'm not necessarily sure how I feel about. Like, just having this here, it's kind of just odd to have it there. Like, I understand you're not going to be driving through the cone usually. You know, you're usually going to be taking this line anyways. Like, maybe not this exact angle, or maybe, I don't know. But I think having this there does create potential issues in a racing environment. But that is my take on that. And then you have these. I mean, that works. Honestly, it works. Just looking at it. Like, yeah, like you sort of block off these lines with the cones with like walls. And while it doesn't necessarily, like, you're usually not going to be racing on that line, it can, like, I can see that it could cause issues if you get run wide. You know, you don't really have that escape line that you would have on most tracks that would have this corner. Because I don't think I've really ever seen a track with this corner that has blocked off these cones. Kind of artificially tightens the track, but and even like these, like they don't, like you're going to be obviously going in this lane anyway, so it doesn't actually matter, right? But it creates that sort of like perception that the track is tighter than it actually is from a racing line point of view by blocking it off with the hay bales. So it's not necessarily anything that's actually wrong with it, but it's maybe a little bit of a perception that there's something wrong with it, you know? It's sort of kind of creating that perception almost from a tester that doesn't like these higher skilled tracks, you know, or doesn't have an appreciation for them. So here, I don't like how he puts the sign behind that sign. Like, it's weird how far back it is. It's kind of a little bit weird to me. Especially when you have this understeery, fast corner. It's almost a little bit of a death trap if you get hit here, but, like, it's not a major issue. It's just a very small, nitpicky thing that I'm going over. Because I think that's what I'm doing in the stream, is nitpicking any reason why a track may not have been verified. So I don't like that checkpoint placement. Now, because I just come from the super old age where we didn't have the extended checkpoint range. So I know I'm not going to miss the checkpoint when I hit it, right? But the 2015 PTSD of racing on Ron Raceway in MCEC makes me think I will if I cut the corner to take the actual apex. So I think that's just maybe me being old in the community issue, but like I wouldn't downscore a track because if I obviously can't miss the checkpoint, I'm not going to downscore it, but it does look weird in my eyes. So it's like a note, just me specifically. But I wouldn't actually downscore a track for it. Right? Okay, so we continue around the track. And then sort of we cut off that other lane, but it doesn't do anything wrong, right? And then you have this section, there's nothing really wrong with it. I don't really like how that hay bale sticks out, but it's not anything major. And yeah, like on this corner, I'm used to be more open, but obviously putting the apex on the actual, like, where the apex would be if we didn't have fixture remover isn't a bad thing. It's just, I think people are so used to now having the super openness of the sidewalks on the apexes that they see it as a negative. Now, when they play a track kind of like this, that could have, you know, an apex prop a lot closer to the road than leaving the sidewalk open. And like kind of the same thing I was talking about the checkpoint. Nothing actually wrong with it. I'm not gonna actually miss it, but it's just a visual thing for me. Very, very specific to me thing. Right? So yeah, this floating. This one's weird because there was a point brought up in Discord earlier today about how tracks with floating that don't have any walls will sometimes not get verified, and then sometimes they will. It's kind of weird. Also, I wish this pole was removed. I know it's off the racing line, but it's just visually, we have 100. I don't think he's used 100. Get rid of it. Anyways, That's me, OCD problem. But this one's kind of weird because the racing line is kind of not. You don't want to be off to the right, and you don't want to be too off to the left. So you're not really going to be in any danger of falling off here. It's kind of like one of those weird cases where having the walls would be nice, but because it's kind of built in a way that's like you can kind of get away with it. It's raceable. Like you're not really going to be falling off in the context of the track. Even though it is a little bit weird. So anyways, carrying on. This is moved out quite nicely. And then once again you have these sort of little... This is the ACES track commands, yeah. Then you have this. Just like this kind of blocking off the random sign that could be removed kind of thing. Removing the escape line if you go a little too far wide. You know, a little bit of a death trap. And then this wall... If you're gonna have a wall here, I would honestly... Like, it looks nice. I will give it that. It does look nice. But you do come at it from a little bit weird angle. I would... Like, if I was to prop the track, I would just have, like, the one wall just go, like, straight here. Like, I probably wouldn't even bother with this wall here right behind me. Like, it looks nice. And functionally wise, it might not be the worst issue, but, like, I could see it being an issue. You kind of have just a couple walls like that on this track. And then you have a little chicane, middle of the road. Again, there's not really anything technically wrong with it. There's a lot of little things you can nitpick. Like, even that wall, like if you just got rid of that pole, you wouldn't need it there. It's kind of weird. Like, these little weird things that, you know, you can nitpick and saying they're kind of weird or looks ugly or whatever. But none of it is really horrifyingly bad. So it's a very curious case. Like, I would give it a 4. And that's it, I think. You know, I don't think I would go any higher than that. But 2 people that did test it did deem it to not be a 4. So I don't think I can... I don't think I would be able to swing this one to get showcased. Despite almost being a 4. I think this is one of those tracks that will just have to live on being a 3.96. Because there were 2 people that did not give it a 4. With the Dutchy track, I can swing it because it was only Ivan that gave it a 3.75, and then everyone else is a 4+. And with my score, it actually brings it above a 4. Because I gave it a 4.5. But, yeah, even then commands, like, the notes that the testers who tested it for the official score, I didn't test it because I was lazy and I didn't test the first half of the wave. But, like, none of them ever addressed any checkpoint issues on it. So I don't think that was accounted for when it was actually tested from the other testers. Trying to fix issues that are not issues. In a way, yeah. But there's also, like, again, it's almost like it's trying to isolate a particular style of racing, you know? Like the highly competitive, like, hot lappy guys, right? Like your Murphoses, your Neos, your Dutchies, your Levicates, you know? It's like, it's a track that's designed to be highly competitive for them, but to everyone else that isn't quite that level, you know, you're gonna crash a little bit, you know, because you have these props that are blocking off these lanes that on most tracks are open, you know? It's like that style of track, and it's a style of racing that is good. Like, it's very competitive racing that he's tailoring to with that style of propping. And it's not really something that should be downscored, in my opinion. It's not something I would upscore for, but it is something that should not have been downscored for it, I think. But yeah, like, there's various things you can nitpick. And maybe, you know, there's just some things I wouldn't have done. But it's not something I wouldn't have said this is not verifiable for, you know. It's a lot of little tiny things, but nothing overly bad. Alright, so with that one out of the way, I am not going to be joining the Torque playlist right now. No, thank you. We are doing more important things. I just got an invite in-game, which I will not be joining. So the next track is from Akaz. I have no idea how to say your name. Sorry in advance. This is also a track I didn't test. I didn't do the first half of the wave. There's actually quite a few tracks in the mid-high 3 range that I did not test. There's 4 more including this next one here. I think once I actually started testing on PlayStation, there's only one track that got multiple score, 2 scores of 4 that didn't get verified, or that I tested. 2 scores of 4 that are like relatively close to a 4 but not a 4. I ended up giving it a 3.5, and I'm just gonna quickly, I'm gonna take a second look at it. I will take a second look at it because I think actually the creator of that track was in the discussion on Discord earlier, so I will take a look at it after, even though I probably streamed my feedback of the track, but I'll take another look at it just to see, just to give more feedback, I guess, on any reason why it wasn't verified. So this track was given a score of 3.55, and the only notes on it are custom sections lacked walls and were full speed anyway, could delete 90% of the smoothing that was done to it and use it on the custom sections instead. That was one note. And the other is, the custom section is very inventive but feels unfinished. And Angel is the only tester that gave this track a 4. Everyone else was a 3.5, and there was Ivan, who was once again an outlier with a 3.25. I'm just gonna call it Ivan scores because he's been outed as being the one that's all over the place, so I'm just gonna call it out. Why not? It wouldn't be the first time I've called him out. Won't be the last. Actually, maybe. Since there's not really much to call him out for anymore. But, anyways, this track, I didn't test, so I have no idea what this track is like. So I'll do my first lap, form my thoughts as I go through it at basically speed, and then on the second lap I'll slow down and give my more in-depth thoughts as I go through the track at a much slower pace like I did the last one. I'm gonna go with the Banshee, I think. Actually, no, the Alpha. Alpha is Bay. So yeah, notes were inventive but unfinished. And it was a 3.55. So let's take a look. So it definitely is a lack of walls, I noticed immediately. But whether or not they are actually needed is something I will look at on the second lap. So you got one of these tracks here that it's a style track that I actually wanted to make. I've always kind of wanted to make that is like sort of highly custom around the skyscrapers of the city. It's a style track I've always wanted to create but never could figure out how to make it work, or really put the actual effort in to try and make it work. So I wonder if that's nice smoothing. Another one in the comments was that take out the smoothing and use it on the custom section. And I can see it a little bit here. When I do my second lap, I'll go more in depth where that could be areas and where that could be done. Because there definitely are a few. And I think on a track like this, I don't know how long it is, but if it's like a longer style track, it might be actually better to take parts of the layout out to have more attention to... Oh, okay, that's different than what I thought it was going to be. To have more attention to detail on the custom sections. Because obviously on a very... okay, so it's a lap. Okay. So yeah, as I was in the middle of saying before I got to the end of the lap, if you took out some sections without the expense of sacrificing the enjoyment of the track... Let's get taking a drink. My mouth's dry. Mouth is very dry. So yeah, if we took out maybe some sections that were prop heavy, you could use those props in the custom sections to give them that more attention to detail that seems to be missing a little bit. But let's nitpick individual issues and go from there. So here you have no wall on the outside. It's not necessarily the biggest issue. Like the inside you don't need one at all. But on the outside, like maybe. Just because you can fall off onto the street way below. Like, may not necessarily need one right here. But if you had like maybe a metal barrier, like the 30-degree, and then just had a little wall maybe that extends closer to the building, or maybe even just like a metal barrier on the outside, honestly, would be fine. Like that's what I would do, but it's not necessarily extremely vital here, I think. Like, you could get away with it if you didn't have any props left, but there will be props on this track that you can take from to do like little issues like that, right? Like here, for example, this looks nice, but it's not necessarily needed, especially when you do need the props elsewhere. It's just like one of those nitpicky things that you can get rid of. I'm not saying to get rid of it because I like how it looks, but I'm saying it's like one of those things you can, you know? Here you have the fence props. I usually like, I don't like how tall it is, but I like how he didn't put a large part of the wall, just like a little bit. So if you're low on props and you have this, it's perfectly fine to do that. But I just kind of like having the wall a little bit lower. But oh yeah, this is also a little bit of a weird spot for it because that sticks out a lot. It's very obvious to see. Like that one's completely hidden basically, but that one not so much. A little nitpicky thing. So you have this building block on the outside, actually, that honestly you can just get rid of. Doesn't need to be there. Like there's this tiny hole here, but like if you have all this smoothing underneath that is effectively doubling that, you know. Like, I don't know how many props this building block is, if it's just one big one or if it's two of them. But honestly, you don't really need it. Like, it's You know, you could just have the smoothing be like right here, like with a smaller prop, and just that be it. Like you don't need it to extend all the way to the building, you know? Just like a very small thing. And then you could, you know, put like a wall, extend the wall that you have ahead, you know, and just kind of wrap it around a little bit, you know. Like here, I'd probably maybe put one because you are in a fast speed corner, and you know you could fall off. Like this is an area I would put a wall definitely, and you do have the props where you can otherwise take from. So going back on, you don't really need a wall there because you're not going to be approaching it from that angle that much. But moving on, here definitely a wall on the outside. You have this on the inside, which is actually kind of interesting because you don't like. It looks nice, but functionally, it's not needed. So yeah, I would definitely extend this wall down on this uphill. It's a high danger spot, and like this wall height is fine, but if it was a wall height on the exit of a corner, it would be way too low. Like you would need, I don't know, let's say double, but like maybe a third higher if this was on the exit of a corner. But because it's on a straight, it's fine. You have these metal barriers, and you have you have two of them, and it's not ideal at all because the shit boxes, right? And also, you can just kind of drive straight over them, so they don't actually serve a purpose. Like you could probably get a bigger boost off of this than going on the curb. And so, with that in mind, like having them on the outside, like fitting on the actual outside of the prop is perfectly fine, you know, because you're protecting it from falling off, which makes sense. But when you have them against the curb, you're just making a bigger boost, especially in cars with a higher suspension. So like if I were to ever race like a Dubsta 6x6 or a Brawler, like that's just a boost, you know. Like on story time, I think it was MCC Season 3, we had a race in the Guardian on Blaine County. The way Bruffy had one of the Apex props, like the tire lines back in the day, we could just drive straight over them. Like, we literally were able to cut a few corners of the track entirely because it was just tire line apexes. Especially in the Grapeseed area. So that's just a little fun story, and it just reminded me of that. But yeah, that's kind of the thing here with how low these are. They don't actually serve a purpose the way they're placed. So you can definitely get rid of that altogether. And then you have a wall here. Nice wall. I would say here it works wrapping around the curb because you do have that building exit right there on the exit. So in this context, it works the way the creator wanted it to without it being an issue. So it works. Then you have here, I don't really think it's an issue at this stage, especially since you do also go underneath the track. So I think here it's relatively okay having nothing. Like you can get away with it, right? And then you have this custom section, which is coming down back onto the main road. And I don't really like the way they've done it. I think, you know, they could have done it a little bit better. Have this come down lower so that it's actually like road level by the time you get to this corner. I think they could have done it better in a way that would probably use less props. But, yeah. Also, this isn't ideal. Because, like, it's weird having it stick out like that. Like if you had your two targets for the proper height and then you have that, then it's fine, but like it just kind of, I don't know, like it's not necessarily a big issue, it's just like a tiny little nitpick issue, you know, that I'm nitpicking. And then you should not have it on the apex of any corner for that exact reason. I don't think I need to go any further into that. Like, if you had something protecting the hitbox, then fine. But as it is an issue. And it's a legitimate issue when it comes to a hitbox. Like, I didn't even have to try and find the hitbox. I hit it the first time without even trying. Right? So if anyone cuts that corner too tight, they are getting hitbox no matter what. Anyways, you have smoothing. This is a nice smoothing, but you don't need to be this smooth, honestly, this corner. Like, it's nice, but it doesn't need to really be here. Like, you can use these props elsewhere. Like, the one on the actual apex you can keep, right? But on the road itself, you don't need this at all. Like, if you, I like to smooth over this little island here, but it's not, you don't need to, right? But I have a track that uses this exact corner, right? So I do it. I like to smooth that over, but it's not something you need to. And then this section is nice and smooth. Like, there's a couple props every here and there. I like how they're using the dynamic props as the walls that you can. But I think they're using it at the wrong angle. Actually. Because you have, like, this part that sticks out. Wait, does it have an invisible hitbox? Wait. I never actually noticed this before. So I'm just nitpicking. I didn't know that. Apparently these ends just don't have a hitbox. I didn't know that until now. I don't know if anyone else knew that. But that's just a tiny little thing that I just noticed. But anyways, I would still flip it the other way around, like 90 degrees. Honestly. Just save people the perception of the hitbox. Then you have here, this corner doesn't need to be smooth at all. You can literally just keep this vanilla. It's kind of better, honestly, anyways. Like, smoothing's nice, but, like, it drives nicer when there's, you know, the curb there. And you have all these props for this one corner smoothing. And then you have this, like, building block, which just doesn't need to exist whatsoever. Even in the smoothing. Like, if you want to smooth it, it's fine, but you can do it so much more efficiently. You know? So, it's a lot of props you can save on there. And then, you don't even really need a wall there. You don't need to smooth the outside here, either. Like, I think it might just be the exact same prop as here. But, like, it doesn't... You don't need to. You know, it's just kind of wasting props in that context, especially like right here as well. You don't really need it. Just use the fixture remover on the pole and you're fine, honestly. And then here, this builds over the grass islands, so it does what it needs to. Honestly, it's perfectly fine as it is. I wouldn't say anything on that needs to get changed. Here, the smoothing on here is nice, but I think it is a little too much. Like, it doesn't need to be this smooth. You know, you don't need to build over that much. And then here, again, you have, it is a little over smooth for what it would actually need. Like, it, you know, you can use those props elsewhere, especially since the track does need them on the custom sections. Yeah. This props the hitbox issue, the way it's placed, but I think, you know, you can probably just kind of get away with it, honestly. Like, it's not a complete death trap. Like, this section's relatively okay, although I did find this to be a little weird when I drove it the first time at speed. But it might just be a me thing. Like, when I take the section, I usually anticipate it's gonna be on this road. So that's just kind of a me thing. Probably. But other than that, I think this is basically the end of the track, right? We have this kind of section again. Put a wall on here for that reason exactly. You know, put a wall on the outside there, on the right, up to the curve, and then a wall maybe on the outside here, and then that's basically all you really need, you know? So, I can see why this track wasn't verified. It does lack some walls in key areas, and it does have the potential to get verified if, you know, there was another way from the creator fixed the issues. But that is my thoughts on that track. So, if I was to give it a score, it'd probably be like around 3.5, 3.75, probably around there. It's close, but it does have some issues that would prevent it from being verified. Because it's just kind of like a track safety issues that were there. So overall prognosis on this track, I would say I relatively agree with the general score, but I do think it could be closer to like maybe, like if I had the sole vote on the score of the track, it would be like maybe a 3.7, a high 3.6 overall, I think. But the overall score 3.55, relatively close to that, so. Just missing like a hand. It's just, yeah. It has the props to do it. It's just the creator of it. I don't know if they're in the Discord or not. They just kind of need to prioritize or sacrifice some of the smoothing and the excessive prop placement in some areas to give the attention to detail to that stunt section that is extremely unique that it otherwise lacks in many areas that could be improved upon. And looking like in depth at that track, you wouldn't need to sacrifice any of the actual track layout if you just took away some of the excess smoothing, because then you wouldn't need those walls, you wouldn't need the building blocks to fill the holes because they wouldn't exist. So that is the takeaway from that track. Also, I don't know if anyone is in the chat because YouTube has been weird because everything kind of stopped. I don't know if just no one's talking or not anymore, but I do have issues with YouTube streaming nowadays with for some reason it'll just stop loading any messages. So if that happens, hopefully it comes back. But yeah, I haven't had anything in like 20 minutes or something, so I don't know if anyone's saying anything or not. But yeah, so I'm not ignoring anyone if anyone, because I know there's a few people talking, so I'll see if I can load up YouTube Studio. Okay, so just no one's talking because that one worked, Reche. Okay. Yeah, sometimes I'm not sure because like there were people talking before the track, so I don't know if anyone was just. But yeah, anyway. So now that I know the YouTube isn't glitching out, I feel a little bit better now. But anyways, so let's look at the next track here. This is the Power Jeremy track, who I know has taken issues, probably with me specifically in the past. We have had many arguments in the past about tracks. I don't think necessarily about community verified, but he likes to remake tracks that don't need to be remade. And to my knowledge, he does it for his NASCAR events. I don't know if I haven't fact checked. I'm not going to, but I don't know. I just have a weird thing when it comes to remakes, especially if they don't necessarily try to act. I don't know. It's weird. Like, my opinion on the whole remake thing is if you want to remake a track because you want to purpose it for ovals, just ask the creator to make an oval version, you know? Like, that's my take on that. Why spend hours remaking a track and then making it, like, the track part of it not as, you know, the same level? You know? Like, that's my take on it. On that issue. And I'm gonna live by that. But we have had many disagreements in the past over that. So there's a little bit of history with that. Clash of opinions, I'll call it. But I think it's like relatively civil now between us. I just joined Torque like last week. Started racing a little bit in there. Being a little bit active. Mainly because there's not really much else racing-wise going on, but trying to get my fix in at the end of the summer before school starts again. But anyways, this is not about any of those issues. This is about the tracks that didn't get verified, and this was one of them. And I did not test it either. So, actually cannot blame me at all. Because I had no input on the scores of this track. In fact, of the 5 scores on it, only one of them gave it a 4. So, you can't really look at me for it. Anyways, looking at the notes, I will expose Angel for being the only one to give it a 4. And everyone else that tested it gave it a 3.75 exactly. Everyone else is on the same page. But the notes for it say the bit going underneath the track through the tunnel completely ruins the track and doesn't fit in at all, but the bankings are nice. And the other note is agreeing with him and makes it only viable for compacts. So those are the notes from the testers who have tested it. I did not test it. I'm going to go through all the tracks that I didn't test, I think, this wave. And just give my opinions on them. And if there's any that I think should be a 4, and my score would be the difference, then I will bring it up to the testers. And as the case with the Digi track, where I'm going to get it on the showcase stream next month. Because it really should be there. But anyways, this track, a 3.8 score overall. My score will not make big enough a difference, even if I gave it a 5, I think. Actually, no, if I gave it a 5, it would. If not, it's not getting verified. But I don't think it would be a 5. Just knowing Jeremy. No offense. But because the note did say it's very suited to compacts, that is exactly what I'm going to drive on it. And I'm going to just think of it as a compact track and not as a sports track, a super track, muscle, classics, whatever. I'm just going to look at it as suitable for the class that is like actually suitable for it. That's how I generally test. Like if I see a track layout and I think it's only suitable for compacts, that's what I'm going to test it as. I'm not going to test in an Italy GTO. That'd be stupid, you know? Like, if someone wants to have a GTO race on a compacts track, that's on them, you know? Like, I'm going to be racing compacts. And I'm sure, you know, Bruffy probably would too, because we have extremely similar taste in car track combinations. And I know this for a fact, because I helped plan MCEC and watched the 2 seasons of it, but that's a whole other thing. I did have a hand in picking the cars and tracks in Season 4. Not so much, not at all in Season 5, though. But that's just a little fun fact. Anyways. So, let's take a look at it. So yeah, the notes of this track were that the tunnel kind of kills it. And just, actually I'm going to take a double check because I already kind of half forget. Yeah, so the tunnel is what apparently killed this track for one tester, and another tester agreed with it. The other 2 did not have any notes at all, so could be the case for them too. I don't know. I'm not going to ask. But I will test in my Glorious Rhapsody because it's my favorite compact, and anything else that's faster than it honestly kind of sucks in my opinion anyways. So I don't like the club very much, or the Brioso's okay, but I don't like the wiggle boosting of it. If it didn't wiggle boost, I would like it. But anyways, this is not about my taste in cars. This is about my opinion on tracks. So I'll do the first lap relatively blind, just to get a feel for it at speed. And then I will give my in-depth thoughts on the second lap, like I have done with the previous two. Okay. Very short track. It's very basic. So this one actually, I'm a little mixed on. Because experiencing in compacts on a track that's probably more suited to, my biggest issue with it, with that context in mind, is that it's a little too basic for it, you know? And in most other classes, it might be okay, honestly. Like, well, let's go corner for corner here. Okay. Let's go corner for corner. So you have this uphill, which goes really high to go on to the road behind the that goes on this downhill here. So I feel like this doesn't need to be as high, but in a way I kind of like it, because like it reminds me a little of like Coda Turn 1 in a way. So like my biggest thing actually would be maybe make this, like, have the turn itself be flat and then bring it back downhill. Kind of try and make it kind of like Coda Turn 1, honestly. If this is like the turn angle you're going with, it's exactly like it, except it's angle, right? So if I was making this track, I'd probably try and make it like Coda Turn 1. That is my take on it. Other than that, that's everything right. Except it's really wide open here, which I don't like. Like, I feel like it should be more closed off, because you're just inviting people to go like way wide and then go like around the bush. Like I'll go back and see if it works, because the way the checkpoints are as it is, it would basically be inviting that to happen in a racing situation. And so from that point of view, nitpicking that, I could see that as a potential problem. Because you have the track that no one's going to race on. Because you have that. And then what's the point of going slower on the corner exit when you can just full throttle the outside of it and just go way wide? It doesn't make sense to me. So that's my take on that. To me, it's just a weird visual thing that the garages are not next to the pit lane. Even though I know these parking spaces are here, it's just kind of weird OCD visual thing for me. Anyways. Then you have the building hanging off the land here, which looks kind of weird to me, but anyways, OCD thing. Not really related. Just a small visual thing. Was there low grip? Like, I heard it. I don't know if I felt it, but I heard it. But there's not any low grip on here, so I'm assuming that you probably use the prop that has grip on all the sides. I will safely assume that. These walls could get lowered a little bit, honestly. It's just a small thing. And then maybe I just noticed this wall is actually a little bit of an angle too. It's not straight 90 degrees, and I don't really understand why. Or maybe I'm just looking at a weird angle, but it looks like it's on an angle to me. Make it 90 degrees, keep it simple. And then, especially as you have this approaching an apex, I would honestly use a shorter wall piece, and then towards the end I would have a second one that angles into the ground. So then that way you're not looking at this 90-degree angle, and it increases a little bit of this, increases like visibility a little bit on the track, especially on this apex in this really tight section. So I kind of don't mind how this drives in the Rhapsody. I think having this open as it is works quite well because it's not as tight. It's not as claustrophobic, and in the context of this track, it kind of works. And honestly, the tunnel isn't a deal breaker for me. My biggest thing with this track is that the layout is a little bit too simple. And I think what I'll do... Actually, I do have one more thing I want to say. Wait. I'm hearing it. I heard it. One of these smoothing might be low grip. So that's the thing. If Jeremy watches the stream, maybe wants something to look at, because it would create understeer going into the banking. I don't know if it's this prop or this prop, but it's one of these two. I heard it, so maybe it's just something to look at next time you're in a creator. But anyways, the one thing I would actually like to see on this track, and this is maybe a personal preference thing, but I would kind of like to see this banking be like a higher angle. It's very flat banking. I think it would actually give a really nice run onto this straight to the other side of the banking if it was a much higher angle. Like, I'm not saying it has to be like 30 degrees banking, but like if it was like maybe 13 or 14 degrees, something like that. So then that way you can kind of run it on the outside and get a really nice run. I know you'd probably be sacrificing these little buildings you made here a little bit more, but I think it would look a little bit neater, especially since you wouldn't be able to see the outside of it, and you could also probably end up getting away with not needing to place the walls, honestly, and especially if you align the curbs. Especially if you align the curbs, you wouldn't really need the walls on the outside if you did like a much higher angle. But that's my opinion on that, on a nitpick issue. But other than that, my biggest issue with the track is more so the layout is a little too simple. But like, I think that banking angle is nice for that corner. I would just like to see it increased more for the other one. Now, in the Rhapsody, it wouldn't be the most entertaining track. I'm going to actually replay this and just do one lap in a faster car, just to get an idea on how it feels. But this one is definitely an interesting case. And I just want to drive a more average car to get a better feel for it. Because in the Rhapsody, if I'm racing that, it's going to be relatively boring, because you only have the one tiny section that would have any sense of skill to it. And then the rest of the track would be, you know, turn one, you go massively wide, you probably may not even have to brake in a compact, honestly. And then you'd have a section in the parking lot, and then the two bank corners, and that's it. You know, it's very simple, very basic, but from a driving experience, maybe not the best. So my opinion on how that could be changed is simply extend the track a little bit. You know, go maybe into the city a little bit. You know, like the little Vinewood section. You know, you could extend it a little bit beyond just the casino. if you wanted to add a little bit more to it, to make it stand out a little bit more, because there's not a lot of tracks that go, especially through the parking lot, but that go on the casino oval. And one that sticks out to me is a Jacko Wacko track. It's outdated now, but I don't think he banked a corner. I think it was Flatbook, so it was made in 2019. But it might be a track to look at for a track kind of a similar vibe, I guess, to look at and see, to make the racing experience a little bit more interesting than just having it be located specifically within the casino. I would explore that option to extend the track beyond the casino. Because I think, I'm not saying it has to be a long track, it doesn't have to be like a 2-minute city track, just like maybe it's like a 1-minute track in a Rhapsody, right? So maybe make it like a minute 30, minute 20 or something, just to add a little bit to it, It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit to make it stand out a little bit more. Because you could just take the Golden Stone route of coming through the parking lot through the south, and it would make it maybe a little bit more interesting having that technical section through the parking lot. So that is a option to explore to make it more interesting beyond, just wet torque. Because in crews like that, they tend to kind of just, like everything, they don't really have much of a voice in how to get more out of a track, I think. When it comes to these very low skill tracks, I have seen it, especially on Xbox, with Cloud9 in particular. The tracks they race on are very, within their own crew. They don't really race a lot. At least when I was there, they didn't race a whole lot of tracks outside of it. And so it's just something to look at to make it more appealing beyond just torque. Because ultimately, community verified isn't going to be, we don't test tracks with the mindset of these crews, these other closed communities that would be playing them without any issue, right? We look at tracks as a whole for, well, at least we're supposed to. Some people don't, but that's a whole other issue. They look at it as a whole, for the entire community, including the higher level competitive people, because ultimately that is kind of where this the whole testing thing originated from Noto, from the highly competitive racing standpoint, because ultimately community verified was intentionally made to find tracks for MCEC, ultimately, because all the tracks that were in MCEC, like back in season 4 when the program first started, was tracks from community verified, right? So it kind of was that original purpose. Not a lot of people from back then are around anymore, but I am one of the few that were involved in this capacity back then, and still am today. So when you look at it from that angle, you can see why a track like this wouldn't get verified, even though it is otherwise objective. Honestly, I don't even know what I drove over something, but I don't know what it was, because, it's an oval. There's nothing to drive over. There's no bumps on it, it's just dirt, so I don't know, it's just being weird. But anyways, didn't even brake. I didn't even brake there. Just for context. So you can just completely run that wide. So that is kind of the big takeaway, in my opinion. But honestly, the tunnel thing is fine. The way it's propped, honestly, I don't have any issues with it. My only issue is that the track sort of isn't the most interesting to drive, honestly. I think in a harder car, it's okay. Because these banked corners aren't full throttle. But that's it, you know. Like, it's not the most... It's not really interesting to drive from an experience of driving it. Like, I would never want to hot lap this, you know? Not that I hot lap at all, but yeah, that's my take on it. From driving in a harder car like the Dominator. So if you extend the track, it would probably actually be a really nice track. And maybe try and turn the turn one to like kind of like Coda in a way. That would be a personal, that's just like a personal opinion, to try and make it more unique. Yeah, that's my take on it. If you extend the track a little bit, it'd be better. I think it would add a lot more to it if it was extended into the city a little bit more. And I think if I can find it, I will look at the Jacko Wacko track just to give a very quick example. I don't know if it's still published, but if I can find it, I will do one lap on it just to give a very quick example. Now, obviously, I am doing very in-depth analysis of these tracks in the stream and taking like 20 minutes on each track. We would never do that when we're actually testing the tracks, right? This is the level of testing that the community wants, but it's not the level that we can afford time-wise, because especially back in the day, we would get like over 100 tracks a wave, right? 100 tracks plus the, you know, just normal tracks, and then you add the theme stuff later on, it's another 30 or 40. 100, say like 120 tracks a wave, right? 20 minutes each. Like, we don't get paid for this, so it's like, let's pull up a calculator. Just because I'm curious now. 125 times, say 20 minutes. 2,500 minutes. And you divide that into hours. That would be a full-time job. Well, that's 42 hours almost of testing. Every like 3-4 months or so. And it's kind of a lot. It's kind of a lot, especially on this level. Like, it's just way too much. That's why everyone usually does 1 or 2 laps. You know, does it in less than 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes, the most. Because it just takes so much time to do it on this level of nitpicking and trying to, you know. Oh yeah, anyways, I was looking for the track and then I got distracted. So let me find that here. There we go. Casino Royale. It still has the, yeah, okay. It still has it as it is. So I'll take a quick look at it, and then I will move on to the next track on the spreadsheet. This is just sort of a quick example that came to the top of my head when I was driving that last one, on how you could potentially extend the track. Actually, I just realized this track is basically just Goldenstone, but going through the casino oval in reverse. The track goes the other way to Goldenstone, but they don't have to do it exactly out, but just like a concept. It's a concept idea. Well, I'll just go into Dominator again. And obviously this track has aged because it was made in 2018, 2019. 5 years old, 6, give or take. So, I don't think I've actually played this track in several years, so. But yeah, like this is banked, right? It'd be better driving experience. But just kind of like extending it outwards. Doesn't have to be exactly through the oval. You could come out through the casino area right? So, like, say you come do a little section in this area, even. Like, if, say, you're coming the reverse way, you know, you turn left, no, sorry, not left, into the parking lot. You turn right onto this road, and then you kind of just come down to, like, this little reverse section. Even. Just something really basic. Just to not be in the casino the entire, you know, duration of the track. It would make it a lot more unique and stand out, especially since not many people make tracks that extend with that oval outside of it. It's relatively rare. Very rare. So it could be like $1 million track idea if anybody wanted to try that. Or if Jeremy wants to listen to my feedback and try it himself. Doesn't have to be a full-on track, just something to make it stand out even more than it already kind of does. I don't know who agrees with me or not, but that's my take on it. Can I wall boost? Yeah. Get some wall boosts. Anyways, that's my whole take on the Jeremy track thing. Although if I was to give it a score, it would really depend, honestly. It's a borderline 4 for me. It is a borderline 4, and the only reason it's borderline is because the track itself is not interesting to drive. Even though creatively, and it's well made, and creatively the ideas are good. It's just I don't like the driving experience, so I probably would give it a 4, but like it would be a borderline 4 for me. So that's my take on that. Anyways, so next up, wait, did Vladden's track not get verified? What? What? What is this? Okay, Vladden, I don't know if you're still here or not, probably not, but your track did not get verified. I didn't even know this until now. I never even noticed. Yeah, well, I got 3 more tracks I want to look at here, and then I'm gonna go fuck off for the day. But I might turn this into a little series, because this is just gonna be wave 5. I don't know if there's any tracks, like the theme tracks, that could. Actually, no, that'd be 1, 2. Like, there'd be a couple, including my own. Actually, I will do 1 lap of my own at the end. I just noticed, actually, I was roasting Ivan for being the outlier on the track scores. And ironically, he's once again the outlier on mine and the only score of 4, which is kind of funny. I find that slightly funny. That, as I said at the very beginning of the stream, Ivan is the tester that will either be, for some reason, the reason a track is getting below a 4 or above it. He's always that one. That if everyone gives like a 3.5, 3.75, he'll just give it a 4, 4.25. And if everyone gives it a 4, literally exactly even, he'll be the one to give it a 3.75 and be the reason it doesn't get verified. I don't know why he does that, but he has that trend going for him. Angel called it out too, so it's not just me. Obst, before he stopped testing, also had a lot of beef with Ivan for the exact same thing. Alright, so I'm not going to go as in-depth with these next 3 because I do want to go eat lunch. But I will be a little bit quicker with these next 3 because I have been taking a very long time with the previous ones. And I may have played these other 2 in the past, so I may have some level of familiarity with them, but for quick context, they're both 3.7s, 3.7 range, and the last one, which I did stream, the last one I did test. Okay, this is not the track I think it is, but I will take a look at it anyways. This next track is by Fulma. So the last three tracks are from Little Guz, who was in conversation in Discord earlier, so if anybody does want to tag him and tell him I will be testing and reviewing his track in like half an hour, probably feel free to tell him. Or he can just watch the stream if he wants to. I don't really care, but if anybody wants to tell him, you know, be roughly half an hour probably by the time I get to it, depending on how fast these next two take. I'm just going in the order they were submitted. But we got the Fulma track, the Vladin track, and the Little Guz track. So I will do this one. So the Little Guz track I did test, but the Vladin track and this one I have not. When the wave started. So I'd say this looks like a more muscle kind of track. Maybe a mid-pace sports, maybe. Oh, he even says in the description, mid-sports. Almost like I know what I'm doing at this point in the game when it comes to knowing what cars to pick. But anyways. So the notes on this track from courtesy of TS Inbox, because I'm just going to call him out from now on because I don't care anymore. Custom section lacks the walls and are full speed anyway. Could delete. Wait, am I looking at the right track? I feel like I saw that exact same note on a different track. Oh, no, I am looking at the wrong track. Okay, yeah, I was looking at the city track I played earlier with like the massive custom section of the skyscrapers. This one has no notes actually, so I have nothing to go into the track with any knowledge of. So I'm going completely blind with no feedback from the testers. So I can't call it anyone's bullshit, unfortunately. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyways. Do the lap for my thoughts. If I see anything major, I'll say it as I'm driving it, but we'll do the slow down lap on the second one, as I've been doing. That was a bad short shift. It's a weird spot for a pit lane. It's not bad, mind you, but it's weird. Never seen one there before. Okay, that was a skill issue on my end. Alright, here we go. The meat and potatoes of this track. Okay, that's an issue. The bit blind massively. I had no idea it was getting that tight there. So it's in a tricky area to build a custom section, because there's so many trees that kind of can get in the way. So it's kind of hard to make a track in this area, especially like a massive custom section. I have tried, and I know relatively how weird it can be to make a track work in this area. And then you have the bridge that goes over the track on the first corner. Alright, so I'll respawn. Alright, so where do we begin? So the parts that are on vanilla roads, actually I think are perfectly fine as they are. Although personally, OCD issue, I would lower this more, the gantry. I personally like to have it like low enough where the parts on the bottom, like the metal under like the supports, are under the road. Personal thing. Anyways, this wall, it's fine. Does what it needs to. Doesn't need to really change, honestly, to make it better or worse. It's perfectly fine as it is. Any of this section, this little chicane, I like the chicane. I always like this on tracks. Not a lot of tracks use it, because they just simply don't go this way, so that's nice. My phone just went off. Oh, okay. Someone just liked the memes I spammed them on Instagram. But yeah, so this part is the biggest thing for me. Because on the first lap when I went in, you could still see the tire marks. I thought it was full throttle. Because it's built like it's going to be wide open here. And then there's a giant wall and a tree there. So there is no sense of guidance with this section. And I know the trees are in a weird way, and it's kind of weird to build around, right? But that is a large issue, especially if it's not obvious and it's blind, because you do have the trees. So it would be better to just use track pieces, honestly, to do something like this, because with a track piece on right side up, you can see the curbs, right? So you know what corner you're gonna get. There's only so many combinations of corners you can make with them, right? Especially if you're not making custom corners with them, which not a lot of people do. It's very rare to have that happen. So, but with this, you create the perception that it's going to be full throttle. And also, minor OCD thing. Line's kind of weird. But anyways. So the perception is full throttle. People are probably going to take it full throttle, and they're going to crash just like I did. But if you have the track pieces the right side up, it may not be as smooth to build. But from a driving point of view, you'll have a much clearer indication of where the track is actually going, and if it's going to be a lot slower than what it actually is. So that's just a very quick something to look into, and because it is at a weird angle as well, right? You do have the trees to drive around. You could probably just use like the 135 degree corner prop. Like put it here so that it angles so that you'll be driving, around the tree. And then it would be like more so a 45 degree turn, right? That's how I would do it. Make it more smooth, and you wouldn't need as many props for it. And also give a very clear indication of where the track is actually going. Because right now it does not do that at all. Alright, so moving on, you have this very 2019 style of propping with all these balls placed like that. Very actually maybe 2017, 2018. But this one, I would honestly get rid of. I would use building blocks as the walls, and then you can angle it downwards to like put a hay bale or something if you want, because this creates an issue when it comes to visibility, the way it's placed. It's very odd. It's also relatively high as it is. This could be, if it was angled down more, it might work better. But as it is right now, it is kind of blind. Not overly blind, but it does reduce the visibility quite a bit. And yeah, so that's the big issue there. And this section is okay. Like it's fine as it is. It doesn't look that great, but it's also, I don't like the consistency of having like the white runoff and like the gray track pieces everywhere else on the track, and then here it's just white track piece, white runoff. And if you took the checkpoint out of it, you could see how it might be hard to tell where to go exactly. Especially with the white walls, so definitely make this gray. It's hard to tell where the track is if we took that checkpoint out. Then over here, push this wall back, honestly. The wall doesn't need to be right up against the curb, especially if there's like a little S section here. Make it flush with the target, and that's it. Don't, bring it out so much that it reduces the racing line, especially with the exit being the way it is. Having that curb open isn't going to be a death sentence. It will probably actually be a little bit better, honestly. Having that little bit more openness to it. And then here, you probably would want the wall to be out more. Closer to like the mid part of the corner. And then you have this section, which, again, it looks very kind of sloppy, just the way it's constructed. It's not saying I have the answer for it, but it just doesn't look very good, especially when it sticks out so much beyond the actual racing surface, and there's nothing to cover it up. So I would say like the end of that custom section and that beginning needs a lot of adjustment. I would honestly just kind of bring the runway props way down, sink them down as much as you can, and just rebuild that first part, and then maybe it would be a 4. But as it is right now, I'd probably give it like a 3.75 because it's kind of there in a lot of areas, but it's also got two things massively should change, and then just kind of like tidy up the rest of the track, kind of, because it is kind of, it looks like an outdated track, right? Even if objectively it drives okay and there's not a whole lot wrong with the rest of the custom section, it still could use tidying it up to look more up to date, I think. Alright, so that's that track. That one definitely took a lot less time because I don't want to be spending 20 minutes on each track anymore. But now we got Vladim's track, and this one I'm actually kind of curious because Vladin does make pretty decent to good tracks. Like, he has a few tracks I do quite like. So I am curious why this one did not get bookmarked. Did not get verified. Oh, I just saw the note. Remake of a Poynton track. Okay. So this is remake of Mr. Poynton Media. I'm gonna see if there's any notes on it. I don't think there is. Oh, wait, no, we got one. A lot of exposed lampposts. The first chicane on the long straight could use some better guidance. We got 2 scores above 4, courtesy of TS and Mr. Night Angel UK. And then Box Dirty and Ivan. Scores range from 3.25 to 3.5. So, interesting. What would be the score that I would have to give it? Okay, so there's not any score I could give it to raise it up. So I'm not going to bother putting a score on it, but I will give my hypothetical score in the end with when I do my analysis and all that shit. So where are we? Right. So do 2 laps. Okay. Go in supers. Looks like it'd be a decent supers track. I might be wrong on that, but who knows? usually like going for the bullet, but Penetrator, maybe? I'm not sure. I should go Reaper. I haven't taken a Reaper out in a long time. I like the Reaper. It's very easy to drive, but I do quite like it. Anyways. So we got City Track. Sweaty City Track that did not get verified from Vladin. That apparently could use with more lamppost coverage. So we got smoothing over this road. So I think that's the chicane they were talking about, maybe. That could have been guided better, but I didn't have any issues with figuring out where to go. Like, it's not ideal, but like I could tell, like I knew it was there. And the other comment was about a lot of poles, but so far I haven't really... Okay, I guess this would be the road we were talking about with the poles. Okay. What do we got here? Vladin trying to be a wannabe Lynxie. Taken from that Lynxie track. Just kidding. It's an interesting exit to the corner. Okay. When I looked back and I saw the banking, I thought it was going to come out. Fuck, what the fuck? Sorry, 1 second, I'm dying. That was weird. Anyways. As I was going to say before I died. Yeah, okay, I think I'll live. Anyways, when I look back at the start, I thought the track was going to go on the highway, like, entry. Or exit. So it's an entry over there. But I was wrong. So anyways, let's go through it. This one's going to be a lot faster because I think it's all condensed onto 2 roads, where the track may have to change a little bit. But this part is perfectly fine as it is. Up to here, there's no issues. It's kind of more so this, like this road. Like, it... I don't know, it's weird that he blocks it off every block. It's a little bit weird to me. Like, I know why. But yeah, it just looks weird. I think this chicane, I don't really know what I would do. I would maybe make this wall... Hey yo, what's up? I would make this wall kind of be more of an angle, honestly. Like, you could probably angle it like this, going towards the bank, as opposed to just being 90 degrees. And it would be a lot more obvious there to people that are don't have 10 years on this game and know the map so well that they can anticipate where a track's going without actually ever raced it before. Surprisingly, not everyone can do that. Shock, I know. I'm one of the few, just because I've been playing this game way too long. But anyways. So, if you angled the wall more, it would be more obvious that the chicane is there. So that's my take on the chicane issue. I would maybe put a wall on the outside here, just like for this first block. Just to clean up the exit, and then people can't complain about crashing into the trees on the exit, you know? And then it seems like he has the fixture removers though. He just didn't use them all. Like, that's kind of how I feel looking at this track. That Vladin didn't really remove a whole lot. And I think we have 100. You don't necessarily need to use 100, but especially on these sidewalks, use them. Like 100% use them. Like, even if it's just one side, even on that, where that university is there, even if it's just one side of the road, just use them. I think the rest of the track is relatively fine. You know, you do have those poles on the left, but you're not really going to be going over that far anyways, so you're kind of okay the way it is. I don't know how the checkpoint is because I drove over there too fast, but this pro line would be funny if it worked. Don't know if it could. I thought too late to try it, but if it does, maybe do something about that. But like, honestly, this should be a 4. You know, this is another one of those cases where if I could, I would give this a 4 and try and push for it to get verified. But unfortunately, the majority of the testers downscored it too much to the point where me putting a 4.5 or even a 5 doesn't bring it up enough. It's the same issue with the one of the other tracks there that I played, the Nemesis track that I give a 4. It's a track I did give a 4. I just didn't obviously test it anywhere near on time. But my score did not make the difference. And unfortunately, this is one of those tracks where it's the same. I would give it a verifiable score, but it doesn't make a difference even if I give it a 5 because it's just been downscored that much. Relatively unfairly, I would say. I do think it does not deserve to be a 3 point... What's it at now? 3.79? I don't think it deserves to be that score. I think it should be a 4, but I don't know. I don't agree with it. But I would have to fight half the testers who tested this track, and it's just not worth the effort. But the Dutchy track definitely is worth the effort, and I'm gonna fight for that one. And then there's also the Jeremy track, which everyone disagreed with on the tunnel. I disagree with everyone on that tunnel. Honestly, Angel's the only one that actually makes sense on that one. He didn't leave a note, but I know that the tunnel didn't kill it for him, obviously. And I agree with him on that. I do very much actually do agree with that. Anyways, one more track. And this is the Little Guz track. He was talking in Discord earlier in the conversation that inspired me to do this stream, going through all the tracks that were relatively close to getting verified but did not. And obviously all the ones I've done so far today, I did not test this wave because I didn't really test until halfway through the wave was over. And all the testing I did, I prioritized PC because it was just Leosa and Jag who did like half the testing, and then they both uninstalled the game. And then any tracks that were submitted after that, I was the only one who actually played the game to test. Leo still was watching my stream to test the scores, I think. I don't think he actually played them. And it's kind of funny because I was the one who scored Leos's track, so I gave it a 5 and it's stuck on a 5 for all eternity. It'll be the only normal track to have a score of 5 because I was the only one who tested it. But anyways, this is a track I did test, actually. This is the only one that today I did test. I will do one bonus track at the end. My track that I submitted at the very end of the wave that is not getting verified because it has a relatively boring layout. Man, I forget what Angel said earlier about it when he popped in the beginning, but it's very bare and needs more theme, which is very fair. But it does qualify for the theme of this stream, and so I will play it at the end. Just to put it out there. Not that I'm gonna criticize my own track. That I definitely rushed, but just to put it out there. If anyone watches, they can put their opinions on there, you know. If anybody is still active and wants to type and chat, you know. But anyways, so this track, back to this one. I did test. I gave it a score of 3.5. And my note says I agree with TS. I feel like I might have been harsher on this one. So yeah, the consensus was that the layout's not good. Looking at it on the map, it's just a bunch of straights and like 2 maybe interesting sections. Just looking at the map blindly. To expose the scores, Angel and Ivan gave it a 4. Box and TS gave it a 3.75. And I was the one who downmarked it to a 3.5. Bringing the average track score to a 3.8 flat. So I'm going to give this a second look, but I think, like, I don't know what kind of car would be suited on this track, honestly. Because there's got to be, I think this one has like massive uphills if I remember right. So like the underpowered sports classics may not necessarily be a great experience, but their lack of grip might make up for the lack of any sense of skill. And maybe same thing with the Hellfire. Like, I'll try the Hellfire on here. I don't know if it would redeem it at all, but I will take a look at it again. Obviously, me retesting it doesn't do anything score-wise to change its fate. Dachi's gonna be the only track where that's gonna happen. But we'll see. Give my opinion on it once again. So like this, goes way up. I said the 2 laps, right? Okay. Okay. That's annoying. Anyways. So, I think my opinion has slightly changed on this track. Get rid of these fences. They just don't need to be there. We can remove them. It's not like you're using any more fixtures anywhere, so just get rid of them. My biggest beef with this track is kind of like this. Just massive uphill for like literally a whole 10 seconds. It's... the driving experience of this track, I'm not sure if it does enough to balance it out for me. Like this little section, like I don't like this, how this is. Like, I don't know, it drives so, it doesn't drive good, you know? Like, you can very easily extend this road down. Very easy to just become the track, you know? And then that wall wouldn't have to be there. It would drive so much better. And it wouldn't sacrifice, you know, the otherwise dullness that is a track of this nature that just has a lot of straights to it, you know? But over here, it would be nice if there was some sort of guidance to it, but it's like weird when you come out of the corner like that, you know? And there's an immediate double chicane. Like, I don't really like it. This one kind of works. But like, it's incredibly hard to make a track like this. There's not really a formula that works for it because it's never really worked that well. It's sort of like, I would say if the first half of the track, please hold, I gotta blow this up too. Much better. Anyways, if the entire uphill part of this track was a better driving experience, it would be a 4, I think. But it's just, it's, I don't know, from a driving experience, it's just not there on the uphill. The rest of the track you can get away with, I think. But that uphill for me just kind of, it just kind of kills it for me in a way. I don't know how else to describe it other than kind of kills it in a way. Like, you know, almost a checkpoint. Oh, it's not too big. There we go. Like, you could bring it a lot closer to the mountain, right? You could make this a section on its own. You know, kind of like an uphill technical section, right? It doesn't have to be a super boring straight line uphill 45 degrees or whatever it is, 30 degrees uphill straight to the first corner. You know, it's very boring. It doesn't drive well. It doesn't make a good driving experience, really. So I think if like this had an actual section here, you can get away with the bridge being the way it is. But like having those two in succession kind of is weird. The middle section drives kind of weird too. Like, the track itself and how it's propped isn't horrifyingly wrong. There's nothing overly horrifying wrong with it, except that one corner is no outside wall. That one was kind of yuck. But it just doesn't offer a good driving experience, I think. And I think there are fixes to fix it. It's just a matter of trying to make an innovative track like that without sacrificing the drivability of it is the biggest challenge that all creators who make any kind of track that try to innovate doing something crazy like the one that goes around the giant skyscrapers, has similar issues where it kind of sacrifices the drivability a little bit to try and innovate. And you have to balance the two. There's got to be a little bit of a balance between a good driving experience and pushing creatively to innovate a track that goes between all the mountains, right? And around the mountains. And it could be there. It's not overly far, but, and might have the props to do it. I don't know how many props have been used. But you would be able to, if you took some parts out and changed some ways to be more prop efficient, you might be able to do it. I'm not 100% sure. But, it's possible, It just got prop management is the biggest thing with these, what are basically fully custom tracks, is managing the props you have to make a solid driving experience, but also pushes the creativity at the same time. And honestly, that track might just be better if it was a fully custom track. If the prop limitation is a serious issue. Because it wouldn't need the overly massive downhill to go back to the main road. It could just kind of level out. Almost. So, there are ways to make it work. I'm not saying I know exactly how to, but prop management and balancing drivability is super important on a track like that to make it, verifiable in the type of program that Community Verified is. So that is all my thoughts on all the near misses of tracks that almost got verified or were a 3.5 or higher. I'm going to play one of my tracks because it's not getting verified. And if anyone's watching, tell me your opinion on it. That's actually my jobs. Where is it? There it is. I thought this was it's a cool concept, I think. But it's bare. I've been trying to go with a minimalist approach with all my tracks recently. And I think this one is probably the perfect example of minimalism. I'm just going to do one lap. So this is apparently a little bit too minimalism for anyone whose tracks have been told to do less. This is apparently slightly too less. Although, there you go, trophy truck. It's a little bit too minimalist, according to the testers. Obviously, because it's my track, I was not allowed to give it a score. But it's a snow-themed track. It's locked to snow. I have the ice props underneath. You can't really tell they're the ice props because the snow is over it. But it's the ice props. Very basic. I was thinking about trying to make the layout a little bit more interesting at the end, but It's kind of hard without making it too long. Because I wanted this track to function for off-roads. So doing like the overly tight sections is not something I necessarily wanted to do. That was just a skill issue. I would never say on anyone's track to put a wall there in that context. That's just a skill issue on my end. But yeah, anyways. I do quite like this track. I do agree with the layout could use a little bit more. I did think about adding a section like after the chicane, but it's already like a 2-minute plus track. So I didn't really know what to do. I got an idea what to do, but at the same time, no idea. Well, for a rally track, this doesn't... I didn't even notice that before, but okay. Yeah, that's my rally track. It's not getting verified. It's like a 3 point... What is it at? 3.75? Again, driving experience. There's not any corners I think that take away from it. I think it's just not enough to keep it engaging. I think driving it through in the faster, grippier off-roads. But yeah, anyways, but that is all the normal tracks and my rally track that are relatively close to getting verified, but ultimately did not. There's actually one track. Which track is this? Oh, this one. Okay. There was a rally trial. I'm just looking at this course here. That I downscored as a 3, but Ivan, TS, and Box gave it a 4. Angel gave it a 3.5. So I'm not going to change my score on it, but I would have taken it away if it would have made the difference. Although there's actually one. Actually, I'm going to look at... Do I look at one more? 3.88. You know what? Fuck it. We're going to take a look at this one because this is from Dakrick. No idea who that is, but this is a track that I think someone has actually complained about. I'm looking at Box's note, and I feel like I've seen someone complain about this exact note before. So this will be an interesting take, because Box's note, quote unquote, is nothing wrong with it, it's just very simple. And that is a very controversial note to say. And it's even more controversial when I call him out on stream and say he said that about someone's track that did not get verified because of that. Just calling people out. I stopped caring about trying to be nice to the testers. Oh wait, which one is this? Docs. This one. Alright, so... Wait, what is this one? Flamingo. Oh, that's a land race, isn't it? Salon's land race did not get verified. Interesting. Also, I don't know if the YouTube chat's broken or if it's just no one's talking anymore. It's kind of hard to tell, honestly, because it's a thing. Like Happy was yapping away at me when I was creating a Zancudo track a couple weeks ago, and just nothing was popping up on the YouTube stream chat. And then he messaged me like 25 minutes later on Discord, be like, "Why the fuck aren't you talking to me on stream, you asshole?" And I was like, I got nothing from you for like the last half hour. And then magically, like 10 minutes later, it started working again. It was really weird. But yeah, anyways. So there's also a note from TS about this track, which I will look at. I have to find it again on the spreadsheet here. Think it's fine. Would be more fun if the jumps are closer to each other so you could hit each other mid-air. Looks like you're just able to hit each other on the ground. Now, for context, despite those notes from Box and TS criticizing it, they both gave it a 4. The people who did not give it a 4 were Ivan and Papa. Dirty and Angel, alongside TS and Box, all gave it a 4. So, I'll give my thoughts on it. Now, this is obviously like one of those themed tracks where, you know, you race with other people or with randoms, and you hit each other. Hi, Dirty. I'm calling people out for their bullshit scores, and on this one, you didn't give a bullshit score. But anyways, we're calling 4 for life. You did give this one a 4, actually, ironically. But anyways, I'm calling people out on their scores, criticizing and giving feedback on tracks that were like a 3.5 to the 3.9 range, basically. And I've only done like 7 or 8 tracks, but I've spent a lot of time on each one with very, I think, good feedback. And also Dirty. I will be pushing to verify Dutchy's track because for some reason Ivan is the sole reason it did not get verified. And so I gave it a score and it's now above a 4, and I will be changing that. Because I'm just going to politic my way into getting it verified. Because it should be. So anyways, we have a track around the skyscrapers in the sky, which is obviously the theme track. It's like one of those tracks where you can crash into other people. One of those ones. Meme tracks. Big track. Big jump in the middle. I always forget how shit the dune is. Like, people, it's so shit for taking jumps. I hate it. I hate dune races for that when they have jumps. If they don't have jumps, it's okay. But when they do, it just, like, it can't land a jump to save its life, and I hate it. Anyways, that's my rant on the dune. But yeah, so Tia said something about the jumps being too far. Yeah, I think after I land that jump, I think there's some truth to that. I think these 2 jumps, like that one and that one, should be equal distance apart from the center as this one is. So it's like one's kind of almost got like a dune and a half length away from where you leave the ramp to like the point of where you'd have points of contact. These other two ramps should have the same relative distance compared to the speed you take them at. So then that way you will have those mid-air collisions, because you're going to be too high on this one. So it either needs to get brought up more, or those two need to get pushed back. One of the two, because it does look like you are going to go backwards on this other one here. And you take the jump, I think. Yeah, and you take the same jump this way that you took the other way around. So I think they should be pushed back. I think. Also, I hate the fucking dune. Like, it's shit. It has the worst jump physics of all time. It just sucks ass. I honestly, I don't understand how people find it enjoyable in meme races. Because it's just, yeah, it's a big car, but like it's, yeah, I'm not doing the second lap. I don't want to deal with the dune. But anyways, honestly, in terms of it not getting verified, I'm like mixed on it, honestly. Like when it comes to meme races, it's very basic. And I'm not even sure how I feel about it, honestly. Like, so I can see why a couple people didn't give it a 4. It is extremely basic. You know, like anyone can kind of make that relatively fast and easy. You know, like there's not a whole lot of, you know, it's just kind of very basic. And meme races, you know, like that, with that exact type of layout, they're supposed to be basic, right? But like, it's just almost kind of comes across as so basic that it was made in like 20 minutes level basic, you know? It kind of comes across at that level of basic and simple, to the point where it doesn't feel like there was a whole lot of effort that went into actually making it a experience. You know? Like, that's how it kind of comes across. And I can understand from Box's note why he did say that, actually. That it's kind of just kind of very simple. In a way that works against it, almost. But yeah, that's my take on it. I think if it had, I don't really know. Meme races are hard for me to score because I don't really like them. So like if I like a meme race, then it's like really good. But most of them I don't like, so it's very hard for me to be, you know, objective with them. But anyways, that is all the tracks I will go through. Because the Solange track... Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I take it back. I'm gonna look at it very quickly. I'm just gonna do like one lap at speed. I'm not gonna go over it because I know he doesn't even play the game anymore. So there's not really much point of criticizing it that much. Actually, it's a land race. Take a look at this track. It did not get verified either. Got a 3.8. And everyone gave it a 3.75 except for Papa, who gave it a 4. I am not doing 10 laps. No, thank you. I'll do 2 quick laps in the Turismo. Because we all know Zoo King tracks are Turismo only for some reason. I like how I kept saying one more track and then I keep adding one more after that. But I think this is literally the last possible track from this wave that I could do. That is in that 3.5 to 3.9 range. So. I don't know if there's enough on PC to warrant doing a stream for it, but maybe. Take a look. Anyways, do a couple laps on here, see what my thoughts on it are. It's a land race, so it's got all the old school props, which are hard to make a track with. That is actually good, at seeming as so few of them get verified. And even nowadays, you can kind of abuse the newer props that make it a land race. That's a sketch exit. I thought that was going to be a chicane at first, not going to lie. That's nice and smooth. I like that. It's so satisfying when people build over just like that. That's so satisfying. Why is this not verified? Are people that, like, ageism against land races? This is quite nice. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start calling out people's bullshit on this track too, honestly. Like, I don't see why I shouldn't get verified. Why is this not a 4? What the fuck is wrong with people? Angel didn't test this track, so he's excluded from the roasting. Papa gave it a 4, so he's kind of excluded. But everyone else, Dirty included. How is this not a 4? Someone explain it to me? Because it makes no sense. What kind of fucking bullshit are y'all on? How is it that the most polarizing tester to ever exist is somehow the voice of reason in the end of the game? What? Like, what is wrong with this track? Someone tell me. How is this not a 4 as a land race? As a land race, this is really fucking good. This should be like, for a land race, like a fucking 4.5 plus. What fucking crack are people on where they're giving this like a 3.5? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it, honestly. Like, I am not seeing any actual issues with the track. So if there's ever a track that people say the testers are biased, I think this would be the one. Because I don't see what's wrong with it. I just don't see. I don't see it, honestly. This is a track that should have been verified. This is a really good land race. And I'm going to give it a 5 and say fuck the testers, and I'm going to give it a 4 flat. Because honestly, it makes no sense to me why it's not getting verified. My land race got verified. This is kind of better than that. I actually kind of got a little bit of bullshit on that. Angel, I think Angel left a while ago, but I gotta call bullshit on that, honestly. It's a lot of bullshit. I like how Ivan says it needs tweaks and fixes. Tires sticking out of the road in the middle of the track? What? The fuck are they on? Are we playing the same track? I don't get it. I do not get it. I actually don't get it. Like, am I just missing something? Like, I'm gonna actually watch a lap of the track again on the replay. Like, am I missing a tire in the middle of the track? Like, are the but they're not in the middle of the road, they're on the fucking poles. Am I missing something? Am I just missing something? Or are they just all on crack? And if so, where can I get some of that crack? Because clearly it must be some good ass shit. Okay, I see, actually. I see exactly where they meant. Even then, fuck, it's way off the fucking racing line. If that's your only reason, like, really? We have verified tracks that have had more issues than that.
I do care. I'm just in the middle of this job and it's been crazy. I'm sorry. I'm here for you.
Like, yeah, it's a goofy thing, but, like, come on.
Slow down. Tell me again. Is it really purple and wet? Come over tonight and we'll figure out what to do, okay? See you at 8.
Honestly, Angel... Where's Angel? Angel's gone. Angel didn't test it, right? Anyways, see, that's a controversial track, honestly. That might be a thing.
Hey man, what's up? Hello there.
Like, one issue. We have literally verified tracks that were way worse issues. I don't get it. I don't get it, honestly. Is it because Salons was a sweat? I don't get it. Like, maybe there is some tester bias, honestly. Like, I after kind of going through some of these tracks, I do kind of see it. Especially these tracks that I did not test at all. I am kind of seeing it, honestly. Because I'm playing them, and I'm like, some of these should have been verified. And if I had more pull and actually tested them when everyone else was, you know, maybe I could have swung it. Some of them. But, because that's what I did back in the day. Like, if I saw Injustice, you know, I called it out back then. I didn't have a problem with that. But there are a couple tracks I am seeing that should have been verified that weren't. I think there's at least 3 or 4 of the 8 or 9 that I played. So, you know, there's something to it, to be honest. I will say, I was honestly saying it was probably just a conspiracy theory as a tester. But now that I look at it from a different perspective and actually have gone in depth on these tracks that have valid claims for these, you know, little conspiracy theories of the biased testers, I am seeing it, honestly. As a tester, I do see it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was one of the testers that people would be conspiracy theorizing about. But I'm the one calling out the bullshit of some of these downscore tracks. Not that I'm, you know, the best when it comes to downscoring, but none of my downscores have been the reason the track is not getting verified. I've never been that one person. I've usually given in if I was the only one that disagreed and everyone else agreed. Because, like, there was a track like that a couple weeks ago, like the Mario track or whatever. Because it didn't feel like a theme track to me. So I downscored it. I was like, this isn't really a theme, you know? It's just a normal track to me. The decoration, like, I didn't really notice it that much. But then people called me up for it, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't see it, but whatever. Because, like, to me, it just drived completely like a normal track. There wasn't anything else to it. So, that was me. And I know Angel, I think, called me out on that in public at one point. I don't think he called me out specifically, but he did call the situation out. But anyways, that is all the community verified tracks that were not verified, that perhaps some of them should have been. Alright, well, anyways, that's it for today. I might take a look at previous waves, honestly. Because obviously there won't be the recency relevance to it. But I think it might be an interesting series to go back and, like, even throughout the years. And... Doggo! Doggo! Get back here! I want to pet the doggo. I would kill a platoon of unarmed civilians for this dog. Like this one. Any civilian this dog runs towards, I'm shooting. Like that one. This is my dog now. Anyone he runs towards is getting shot. Where are we running to? Who we shooting? Who we shooting, boy? Who we shooting? Unarmed civilians over there? Oh, hey. No. There we go. No, come back. You need to tell me who to shoot. Get back here. I like how he walks across the crosswalk. That's so cute. Who's next? You're next. Wait, where'd the dog go? Doggo! Where'd you go? Where'd my dog go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Did he go this way? No! Larry! Larry! Larry ran away. Oh, I'm out of everything. I wish GTA had better gunplay. Honestly, first person mode would be so much better if the gunplay wasn't so ass. Anyways, that's all I got. I'm done. See ya.